Hey everyone, I'm Planet Mitch, and you know what? I struggle with my contests. I struggle to figure out exactly what's working and what's not working, and I suspect that if you're running contests, you have a very similar struggle as well. The problem is that most people don't ever really go in and look at the statistics. And the statistics that UpViral gives and the other tools, I've been in the other tools as well, they just don't give you a whole lot of data, and that's kind of the problem. Hey, all you people that are tuning in, thanks. Comment, say hi. Let me know who's here and who's not, because I'm using Ecamm, so I don't get that funny little pop-up that says who's joined and who hasn't joined. But if you're doing contests and got a thumbs up, no comment, but I got a thumbs up. Thanks for that. When you're running contests, you got to know what's going on. And like I said, I'm struggling. I just went this weekend and updated. Hi, Joanne. Good morning to you. I updated a spreadsheet that I have been, excuse me, working on for quite some time. And it's showing me stuff. And the problem is, it's still not just banging me on the head and going, well, this is your problem. It's pointing to where the problems are, but it's not, well, I shouldn't say the problem. Good morning, Lisa. Is not showing me just exactly what the solution is. That's what I want. I want a solution. I want it to go, hey, Mitch, this is how you fix that problem. And I'm trying to work on something. Maybe. I don't know if I'll ever figure it out exactly, but I wanted to know how many of you are struggling. And first of all, if you're running contests, raise your hand, comment, and say yes, I'm doing it. If you're running contests and they're working gangbusters, then I want to learn from you. So let me know. Good morning, Stephen, and all from San Francisco, SF. Could be a whole variety of places. San Francisco. I've been to San Francisco recently. It's a nice town. It's expensive, but it was fun. So I want to know. Part of what I want to do in my life is to teach people, because y'all know that I believe that contests are the best way of bringing in leads. And I know people will raise their hand and say, Mitch, but the quality of the leads aren't the greatest. I said, well, that's on you, because I think when you develop a contest the right way, when you offer the right prizes, then you're going to get the right leads. I had a very interesting conversation last week, which I mentioned before. Excuse me, I got a little frog down there. Now I can't come up with her name. Names aren't always the thing that works with me. But I had a very interesting conversation about what's working, and she is offering trips, vacations, holiday packages as prizes. And she is whittling out all the people that really aren't in her target niche after she gets them on a list. So she wants people that are excited and interested in winning, and she's willing to spend the time to weed out a whole bunch of people that aren't appropriate for what she's doing. Had a nice conversation. I'm still not totally convinced that's the way I want to build my list. But it's also the side of it is that I pointed out to her was that that's great if you're on the aggressive side and willing to weed out people that aren't working for you. Can you guys hear me? My microphone's a little far away. I think I usually have it closer, but maybe I'm usually blasting too loud because I get pretty... Oops! Astro fell. For those of you who don't know, that's my friend Astro. He's been with me for, I don't know, 25, 30 years. Used to sit on my desk at Boeing when I was younger. Steven says, yes to contests, and yes, it's San Francisco. I don't know how many people are watching from San Francisco. At least one, right? So when we were in San Francisco, by the way, Steven, have you been there for a while? We got to watch the America's Cup Many, many years. Gosh, has it been that long? Gosh, it's been what? At least 5 years? We got to see some of the America's Cup racing, which is fascinating to me. I love the America's Cup. Way off topic. But, so the question is, I mean, there was even somebody in the Up Viral group the other day who is giving away cash. Now, I don't necessarily think that giving away cash is the right way to do it. Lisa's from the Pacific Northwest. Welcome. And didn't you get snow this weekend? Or pretty cold? It's 90-something degrees for a high. It's currently 83 here in St. Louis. I don't know what that is in Celsius. If anybody's watching over in the rest of the world. It's supposed to be in the 90s today, so we have not gotten our fall weather yet. It's driving me bonkers. I was at my daughter's football game. She's in the marching. She's the color guard. Da, 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 da. And it was hot on Saturday. Hot, hot, hot. It was only 85. But the sun was banging down. And anyway, it's supposed to be fall. Football weather is fall. That's American football for those of you overseas. It's not soccer. It's I was speaking to somebody from Australia actually the other day. They were talking about football, and I eventually figured out that they were talking about Australian rules football, which is not soccer, which is not European, the rest of the world football. Anyway, when you say football, you have to be very specific. Pacific for Lisa, who's in the Pacific Northwest. Speaking of football, we're getting a soccer team here in St. Louis, but that's a whole other topic. I don't know if giving away cash is the right way to go. One of the campaigns that Wilco talks about all the time in Up Viral land is this gentleman that got 230,000 leads in 10 days and how great Up Viral is. Well, it's great if you're giving away cash. That guy was giving away cryptocurrency. And so I don't think that brought him the kind of audience that was going to turn into buyers for his cryptocurrency later. I'm going to pop this up. I haven't even read it yet, but Joanne says, cash is fine, but it's not promoting a product. The same with an Amazon gift card. I like prizes better. Now, for those of you who don't know, Joanne is a professional contester. She kicks butt in terms of winning campaigns. She enters them all the time. And if I like the prize, I promote it and will most likely buy again. Absolutely. Christine Faux. Am I saying that right? I've forgotten. I think it's Faux. Right. Contesters are good buyers. Not all of them. One of the things that I have asked in the Up Viral group today was how many people are actually sharing a campaign. Typically, for those of you who are in that group and you haven't answered that question, typically I'm getting about 30-35% sharing. Many campaigns that I've seen get much worse than that. Now, the Up Viral, the Viper, the different programs, Joanne says Joe Faux. That's the way you pronounce her name, Joe Faux. Great. Many of the tools talk about how great the sharing is. And maybe if you take off your hat that is a traditional marketer and is used to getting maybe 5% conversions and 2% buy, then 30% is a good number. I want more than 30% people sharing. And Up Viral's tool has a sharing number, but they gotta fudge that too, because they're taking, it's a percentage. And if you get 100%, then you think that 100% of the people have shared. Well, in reality, it isn't 100%. It's, let's suppose you have 5 people and you've got all 5 of the sharing buttons. I'm sorry, let's say you got 100 people who sign up. and you get 5 or 10% of the people that will share once, that will give you 10%, right? But if those 10% of the people share twice, then that gives you 20%. But that doesn't mean 20% of the people shared. That just means 10% shared it twice. So obviously, if you get all 5 and those 10%, that gets you up to 50. And if each one, so realistically, the numbers are pretty freaking low-ish. Better than most other tools, but even 30% sharing as a contester frustrates me because I want everybody to share because that's what's the free side of my campaign, and therefore I'm paying a lot of attention to statistics. I pay a lot more attention than most people pay to statistics, such that, just for instance, just for those of you who don't know, I'm going to share my desktop because I've been working on this for probably 2 years now, and I'm still trying to refine it. I worked on it almost all day yesterday, and that is taking the UpViral spreadsheet, or the UpViral stats, which isn't very much. If I had, maybe, let's see if I can do this really fast. If I go to UpViral, and I go to this campaign, which just finished, by the way, and this is the kind of stats you get, right? You get total leads, total referred, total direct. You get some opt-in numbers. And then if you go over to the sharing, the social metrics, you see these. Now again, here's that number of socials. They call it users interacted. But they're adding up. We had, let's go back just so you saw it. We had 8,600 total leads in the campaign. And if I go to the social sharing, there's 8,571 interactions. But that's just simply adding all of these up. And if you go into the statistics, now, so if I go into this particular campaign, which I have open over here in my spreadsheet, and that's the campaign, this is it, number 2. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit, because I know that's potentially pretty small. Let's go to 200%. We had 8,600 leads, but down here under sharing, and you notice that there's a lot more stats under sharing than what they give you. They're showing you just these numbers and a little bit of bar here to give you an idea, relatively speaking. And I've found that most people don't even recognize that bar is there, that part of the circle. I don't care for that particular design. But if you look down here at the sharing, these are the numbers that I really want to see. Like this chart here shows that only 24% of the people shared in this campaign. And so what I'm doing is I'm going deep into the data that UpViral's not, it's there, but they're just not showing it. But I'm going in and I'm looking at this, and look, 23.8, that says 24% of the people shared at least one time. I told you before, I like that number to be in the 30% range. This one was only 24. And from those shares, how many people came back and visited? These are the kind of numbers that I really think that you need to be paying attention to if you're looking at your campaigns, especially over time, which is what this sheet does. So this is I've done 2 campaigns for Fujifilm. And so this sheet shows me the 2 different campaigns side by side, May and August, and where the stats are. Did I improve or disprove? Disprove. Get it? So I'm looking at a whole lot more data, and I'm seeing trends, good or bad, that's totally different than what UpViral's showing me. You know, I haven't even put the emails on there. But I don't know, maybe I should put this. Hey, I just thought of something else I can add to the spreadsheet. Opens. That's information that I should be adding, shouldn't I? I don't have that. Why don't I have that? I don't know that I want to go with split tests either. Split tests, I didn't do any split tests, but anyway, so here in the up viral, if you're looking just at this, and maybe if you even open the previous campaign side by side, you can flip back and forth and see some stats. But looking at it this way is a whole different story. And now you can start going in and looking at what's working and what's not working, or what worked in the first campaign and what didn't work in the second campaign. For example, in the first campaign, we just gave away 3 cameras. In the second campaign, we gave away 3 cameras, and we offered camera bags to those people who brought in 20 more leads, which we only had 19 people win. So we were hoping to encourage more sharing with that. So how do I think that did? I think it was a total flop. I think we wasted some additional money, because if you look at things like the views went down, and we kind of targeted the same audience, right? So our number of views went down, but our total leads went up. That's this box right here. So views went down, leads went up, which meant our conversions went up, right? So we did a much better job in converting people. Yay me! But our views per prize dollar went down. Our cost per lead went up significantly. And we also found that people were sharing less. This one just grabs me and goes, wait a minute. I thought what I was doing by adding in those bonuses was going to increase sharing, but guess what? It didn't. So if you're not my whole point is not to pick on the data in this particular campaigns, but my point is, if you're running campaigns, you frickin' ought to be looking at this data. And tools ought to be sharing this kind of data with you, but they don't. They just want to give you the fluffy stuff. No offense to UpViral and Wilco and those guys. I keep begging for more and more stats, but I've figured out a way to do it on my own, so I don't necessarily need them to add stats. Although it will be really nice to be happening real time during the campaign, as opposed to me doing it at the end of the campaign. It takes about 5 minutes to load all the data. So it's not that hard, but it would be really nice if they gave me this stuff in the middle of the campaign. That would be great. But again, I'm looking at a whole lot more stuff, and I've just added this section down here about social metrics. Now, because of the way that they're now they've added in Bless Their Hearts, Ring the Bell. They added in the tracking. And so now we can see something like Facebook. How many people came in from the social sharing? How many leads did that present? And I'm sorry about this bar. It works really well for me, but it doesn't work well while I have this on. I should turn that off sometimes. But anyway, so if we look at this, for example, the Facebook sharing, 1,755 people came in and 133 people turned into leads with a conversion rate of 7.6. Now, I got that data over here now. So here's my conversion numbers. You see that went up just a hair on Facebook compared to the previous campaign, but my sharing went down. So I've got, this is sharing, this is conversions, and this bottom one is visits per share. So if you take, I'll show you how you calculate that. So if you have this Facebook number, right? And this is the same campaign, but if you look at the social metrics, you take this number and you compare it to, come on, this number, they're different. I was startled for a second. They're different. 1557 versus 1755. Too many fives. But again, you have to be, I mean, the data's there in UpViral, but you have to go to multiple pages and kind of jump around to figure this out, whereas I've now got it in my spreadsheet so that I can see that my Facebook sharing went down, my conversions went up, but also my visits per share went down. So the number of people that came in from the social sharing changed for Facebook. It went up on Twitter. It went up just a little bit on LinkedIn and Pinterest. But you also notice that the conversion rates on these tools is minuscule in most cases. LinkedIn converted at 35% this time. But if you go look at the details, which maybe I got to figure out how to add on here, but the number of people that shared on LinkedIn, if I go back over here, the number of people that actually shared on, I'm sorry, not there. I got too many pages. See, this is how it gets confusing. Social metrics. And again, I'm still figuring out how to add stuff that makes sense to this spreadsheet, to these charts. So we were looking at 518 people shared on LinkedIn. So the conversions went up, but not as many people shared as shared on Facebook. I'm just sitting here thinking about how I could add that to this. But anyway, I hope you get what I'm trying to do is to convince you guys, those of you that are watching this, and if you're watching again, please let me know what you think. I'm going to just come back over here to the screen, to me. If you're not looking at your statistics and you're not diving deeply into them, you can't figure out what's working and what's not working, especially from the stats that you get from the online tools. So, I urge you to be diving in. Now, if you happen to want these spreadsheets, I have them available. Bing! If you go to giveawayrocket.com/store, it's actually, I've renamed it the resources. I think resources is better than store because people think a store is nothing but cost stuff. Well, I got a whole bunch of free stuff out there. So if you go to that link, or if you just go to giveawayrocket.com/ or in the menu, it's right there on the top. It says resources. I'm not giving this away for free. I used to be doing that, and I found out nobody used it because it was free. You know how it is when people say, "Oh, I want to use that," and then you give it to them, and they go, "Oh, I didn't use it." So, yes, I'm charging for this, and yes, I think you ought to have it, and yes, I ought to be paid for putting this together because it's a very valuable asset. And I didn't come on here just to preach to you or try to sell you something. I want you to be using it. So I've put some value on it. It's not very expensive. There's a lot of stuff in it that's very valuable if you just make the time. The biggest thing for you is to make the time to actually go in and use it and analyze the data that comes out of it. Now, I actually make a recording of the spreadsheet with all the data on it in the visual form with those charts I was just showing you. I, for my clients, record a video that walks them through what the meanings of those things are and what we could probably do better on the next one, because I know Fujifilm has signed up to do 4 campaigns with me this year. So I want to try to improve, and we came up with the idea of offering the bags, the $149 bag, if somebody got 20 referrals. Turns out that didn't really boost our sharing like I thought it was going to be. Maybe the bags are too expensive. The fact that they had to go get 20 scared them off, and they went, that's too much, I can't do that. So maybe that's the problem. I mean, obviously the numbers don't tell me exactly all that. I have to go figure that out, right? But that data is so much more valuable than me just looking at the stats that they show me on Umpire and go, well, I think that worked. We got more leads than we did in the last campaign. that's not necessarily how it worked out. The sharing actually went down. So you got to look at this stuff. Is what I'm trying to tell you is and I'm not just trying to sell you my spreadsheet. Again, I want you to have this, but I want you to value it, which is why there's a cost on it. And I know some people are going, well, it's not expensive if you look at the data that it can give you. But you have to value it, and that's what I'm discovering, is that people don't value something that they just got for free. So anyway, anybody have any questions? I've been going for 25 minutes, and I tend to ramble sometimes. I hope you understand how passionate I am about this stuff and how valuable it is for you if you want it. Contests bring in highly valuable, highly targeted leads. Herman confessed today he's in the Up Viral group and he hasn't run a campaign yet. I'm like, come on, Herman, do it. So I'm actually, I've said it Friday. I'm going to say it again. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it, but I'm putting a class together next week. If you want to run your very first campaign or your second one and make it better, let me know, because I'm going to start a class on Monday or sometime next week. Let me know. Talk to me. We'll get you up and running. Why is that not? There's my switch. Turn that off. Steven says, I need to figure out how to do this button too. Cam bags are for more serious enthusiasts and pros, not a prize for casual shooters. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Thank you, Stephen. I hadn't really thought about that. The cameras that we were giving away were were expensive. They're more on the pro end. They're $1,200 with the lens and $800 without the lens. Craig says, I would agree, having to share 20 times might scare some people off. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think that's potentially very true. Now, it's not even just sharing 20 times. Actually, I had to get 20 people to sign up for the giveaway. So it was more difficult. And I'm going to take that back to my client and say, well, next time maybe we should find something. It's sometimes working with clients is fun. I find that some clients want you to just kind of go away and do it. They're kind of this client that they want me to just go away and do it. And so getting them to sit down and talk with me like, okay, well, that maybe didn't work. What could we do differently? Sometimes is a little challenging. Hope Fuji's not watching. But I would tell them that to their face. I know the gentleman that I'm working with, who is the head of marketing there, came from another company that I did over 10 campaigns for. So he knows what I'm doing and he appreciates what I'm doing. And when he moved over to Fuji, he came to me and said, look, I want you to do what you do for Fuji. And so we're doing that. But he's also very, 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 very busy. And so getting slices of his time and spending time working things like I'm able to do with many entrepreneurs is very different. So it's not bad. It's just more of a challenge that I have to try to work through. And I do agree that getting people to sign up, which is one of the other things that's in the spreadsheet, by the way, plug. It's difficult to get people to sign up. Let me go back. Let me show you, because I put this number in the spreadsheet. So there's two spreadsheets. This one is for all of the data for multiple campaigns, but this one is for the details about a specific campaign. And if you come down here and look, this is campaign number 1. So let me switch over to campaign number 2. Scroll down here. Percentage of people that got at least one referral. That's 4.6%. So even though we had 24% of the people who shared, only 4.6% even got a single referral. So getting to 20, yes, Craig. Let me see if I can, let me make sure this is, turn that off. So the comment doesn't get in the way, because I got, oh, let me get my face off of there. And how to do that now. But here's also the number of the people that got 3 referrals. Less than 1% of the people actually earned 3 referrals. And if talking about more than 5 or more, that's only 0.5%. Total, only 40 people got 5 or more referrals. So this is where the gold is. I keep telling y'all, when you're running a campaign, the referrals is the gold. And I think I'm failing on this. Frankly, when I go talk to the customer, I'm going to have to say, you know, out of those 8,600 people, we only got 400 people that brought a friend. That's not the kind of numbers that I'm looking for. I want more than that. Although that's making me wonder, is that number right? I have worked through these spreadsheets multiple times, and I'm never 100% sure that I got all the numbers right. So if I go to campaign metrics, oh, well, why is that number different? I'm going to have to think about this one. Why is that number different? Or am I not getting the right data? Maybe I'm not getting the right data. I'm going to have to check that. Oh, well, some people got multiples. Yes, that number's probably right. Even though there are that many referred, so you have to really think about some of these numbers sometimes. Only 399 people got at least one. So I know there are, I mean, if you go look at, I'm not going to show you. If you go look at the leads, one guy brought in 600 and something leads. So if you add up all those things, the people that brought in more than 5, those people brought in a lot of leads, and therefore that adds up to the 3,085. So that makes sense. But my whole point that was not to confuse myself, but was to get you to the point of understanding that this data, like the percentage of people with at least one referral, is not anywhere to be found inside of the upper arrow statistics. And you freaking ought to be looking at those numbers. Now it's there. If you go to the setup and you go look at like the 20 people this bag, I got 19 people to unlock that reward. But that does not even tell you this 4.6% got at least one referral. And again, if you look at the third or the second spreadsheet and you start tracking that in trends, especially if you're doing the same kinds of campaigns with the same kind of client, this kind of stuff can bring in lots of gold. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I really want to be able to share with my clients and improve. If you don't have the stats, then you can't do that. Anyway, does anybody have any questions? Great input from Stephen and Joanne. Thank you very much. And Craig, much appreciated when you guys comment and help me understand some of the things. I don't always think of absolutely everything. I know that's shocking. Yes, it's true. I don't always think of everything. I do realize it's hard for people to get 20 referrals. And that scares people off. I know that because I did a survey many moons ago. It's called, I forget what I titled it, Why People Won't Share Your Campaign Survey. And what's the number one reason why people won't share your campaign? Does anybody want to type that in there quickly? I know there's a delay. What's the number one reason why people won't share your campaign? So even 24% is a fairly decent number if you compare it to other things. Somebody want to guess? I know some of you probably heard me say this before. What's the biggest struggle why people don't want to share? Nobody wants to guess? I know there's a delay, but I think I've stalled long enough. Anybody? Type quickly. Nobody's going to answer. Come on, Stephen, you still here? All right. The number one reason nobody wants to share is they want the number of people in the prize pool to be as small as possible. They don't want anybody else to have a chance to win. And if we put in hurdles like having to get 20 friends before they earn a bag, then maybe that was too much. Craig said, good guess. They don't want to recommend an unknown. Yes, that's part of it. They don't want to spam their friends, basically. They don't want to say, well, I don't exactly know this company, but here, go join the contest. That is part of it. Jennifer has it. Yay, Jennifer. They don't want others to win. That's correct. Jennifer wins. Hi, Jennifer. Steven says, maybe the second lens instead of a bag is a second prize. Canon makes knife cheap 50mm. Yes. Obviously, they make their own lenses, too, so I wouldn't... Fuji's sponsoring this, so it's not me. So they don't want some other brand. But actually, the first prize camera was a camera body and a lens. The second prize, Your Friend Wins, You Win Too, was the same camera body with the lens, although in silver. They had black and silver. And the third place prize is just the camera body. But the third place prize was most points. So that's why we're trying to encourage people to share. But yes, thank you, Stephen. Thank you for that. But back to Craig's comment, yes, there's hurdles that we have to get over when we're running a campaign. Because we like to think that people are just going to go share, 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 share. When in reality, as Jennifer said, they don't want anybody else to win. They want to be the winner. So what we have to do as contest owners, runners, whatever the right word is, I still don't know what to call myself. We have to be able to encourage people, which is what I thought this other prize was going to be, but then Fuji offered this big prize, and I tried to talk them down to something else, and they're like, no, let's try this. So I'm like, okay, let's try it and see how it works. And I think that in this particular case, that's funny, isn't it? Back of case bag. Anyway, that was really, really big stretch for a joke. I think in this particular scenario, that didn't work as well as I wanted it to. But I wouldn't have seen that if I didn't go into the stats. Because if you look at the stats, just on a cursory level, we got more leads. We got more referrals, referred leads. The conversion numbers were higher. So if you just look at that, you would think that, hey, this really worked well. But then if you look at some of the details about the views per prize dollar, the percentage sharing, the entries per person, those kind of things maybe weren't so good. So maybe we need to reconsider what that bonus prize is. Now, Jennifer, by the way, speaking of plugs, Jennifer really ran a great campaign for her business, and I have a case study on that resources page. I need a button on my thing to get rid of that comment and then show this. But if you go to the resources page, there is a case study on there about Jennifer's campaign. And I still haven't, I got to update it because Jennifer told me something the other day that I want to add. I just haven't put it on there yet. Anyway, it's available if you want it. So there's the spreadsheets are available. Training next week if you're interested. Jennifer was in my training class, and I believe she was highly successful. She's going to run another campaign. Is it in October? Of course, Jennifer, let me know if you need any help on that. Happy to look at that. So there's the spreadsheet, there's the Jennifer PDF, the case study, and then there's training next week if you're interested. All of those things are available, and a whole lot more. If you go to giveawayrocket.com/store, or just go to giveawayrocket.com and look for resources on the top menu, that will get you to there. If you decide you're interested in the spreadsheets, by the way, give me a little bit of patience because I made a whole bunch of updates yesterday, and I haven't published those. Jennifer, I found a couple of bugs in the one that I gave you, so make sure that I give you the new one. So, yes on that. Let me know if you guys have any interest, any questions. I'm stalling for the last 30 seconds. You guys have been great. Really appreciate you. Jennifer, love your participation. Always appreciate you. You've done a great work on your campaign. Stephen, thank you for popping in. Craig, your comments have been spot on. Very helpful. Joanne, always love having you on if you're still here. Lisa, thanks for popping in so long ago. You've probably buzzed off to do something else in the Pacific Northwest. Nobody else is commenting, so thank you for tuning in. I'm trying to figure out which one I gotta update my sounds. But we'll go with this one. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Well, I thought it was a very lovely story.